Hey guys, I'm back from my trip south to visit the Scottish Yarn Festival in Perth, and I had a great time and bought lots of goodies, so I thought I'd show you what I acquired whilst I was there. If you're new here, my name is Mel and I am a podcaster, knitter, crafter, living on the Orkney Islands off the north coast of Scotland. And I live here in a little wee small holding with chickens and one remaining duck and our two cats, Holly and Willow, and of course not forgetting my husband John. Okay, so starting off, because it was the 10th anniversary of the Scottish Yarn Festival, which used to be known as the Perth Yarn Festival but now is the Scottish Yarn Festival, I had to of course get my anniversary tote bag whilst I was there to fetch most of my goodies home. Some of my goodies were bulky, so I needed a second tote bag, not a yarn festival one, but a one I happened to have with me. But what I did get, I'm really happy with, and I got quite a range. I got yarn, I got fibre, and I even got a like a fleece, like a felt backed fleece, but we'll get to that in a moment. I was hoping to do this in one take, but so far I've had the cats come in and out of the room twice already, and I've only recorded about 2 minutes. So this might be an edited, highly edited video at this rate. So first up, the first thing I wanted to buy, well, there was a few things I definitely knew I wanted to buy while I was there. So I did a number of circuits around the festival. So my first initial circuit was my kind of walk around, but also snaffle the things that I didn't want to sell out before I got them for myself basically. So it was kind of a whiz round, and then another 2 round to do film and footage for video for the channel, and then I could then browse at leisure and go back and buy the things that I'd seen on my first way round. So one of the things I definitely wanted to get was some of the official Scottish Yarn Festival yarn. They have numerous colours, and I wasn't sure which colour exactly I wanted to get and how much of it depended, because I wanted to see what the texture of the yarn was like first. So I ended up buying 4 skeins, a sweater quantity's worth, of this gorgeous green yarn, and I'm not sure how well this is going to come up on screen. It's looking pretty good in the viewfinder for colour actually. It is a true pure nude, like neither cool nor warm green, a pure green. It is a fingering weight. They do this in a DK weight as well, but I wanted a fingering weight garment, which is kind of my preferred weight to wear. Even in the winter, I can always put 2 layers on. I don't like to feel overly bulky, although I do have some bulkier sweaters. So I got 4 skeins of this fingering weight yarn, and these are 100 grams each. So the Scottish Yarn Festival yarn is a base of 80% Shetland, 20% Cheviot. Now, Shetland tends to be a little more on the rustic side. Not like really, really rustic, like Let Lopi, I'm looking at you. I would make carpets with that. It is very rustic for me. But Shetland, I can get away with a garment, like a cardigan, as long as it's not like up around my neck. I do have a hand spun Shetland cowl, which I can wear, but it takes me a few minutes to kind of adjust to it. So I wasn't sure what the texture of this yarn was going to be like, because whenever I think of Cheviot, I think it would be a coarser fibre, but in actual fact it's not. The texture of this feels softer than a pure Shetland yarn. Think of like Shetland spindrift, that sort of thing. This feels softer than that. It's not as soft as lamb's wool, but it's definitely softer than regular Shetland wool. But because I didn't know what the texture was like, I wasn't sure what I would want to knit with it until I'd felt it. If it had been a little more rustic, if the Cheviot had been more rustic and made the Shetland feel more rustic, then I probably would have bought enough to do something like a tank top or a vest sweater instead, so that it wouldn't be on my arms or around my neck, something like a v-neck tank top, something like that. But because it was definitely within tolerable level, certainly within tolerable level for me. I got a sweater's quantity worth. The yardage on this is 350 meters. It's quite a an airy yarn, and kind of thickness wise it is more like a true fingering as opposed to a light fingering, which often hand dyed yarns are. So this is going to make a wonderful garment. This is the colourway Errol, because all the colourways have different clan names, and this is Clan Errol. And originally I thought I would be buying either the kind of mustardy toned one that they have or the gingery orange, because I do love my autumn tones, but I just fell in love with this green. And I don't know, it was just, it was really just difficult decision between it. I thought this green is going to look better on me for a start, although I would still buy that mustard one because I loved the colour of it. It's kind of mustard bordering on gold. Very similar to this actually. This is my bubble cardigan. It's a Stephen West design, and I hand dyed quite a lot of the yarns, including this mustardy gold, and the gold one was very similar to that. But for some reason I fell in love with the green, although I was very tempted with the pale beige as well and the light greyish tone, but basically most of them. Other than blue, I don't really wear much blue. So yes, so I bought 4 skeins of this, and I have no idea what I'm going to knit yet. It will be some sort of cardigan rather than a jumper. Yeah, I'm pretty certain this will be a cardigan, but I'm not sure what yet. I have 4 skeins, so I have enough to do either a decent size, no, I wouldn't go so far as to say oversized cardigan. I wouldn't be able to knit something as big as this, but it doesn't have to be a fitted cardigan. Or I can go with something slightly more fitted and do some sort of texture. Or I could do, I'm not sure, maybe lace. It will work really nice with cables, but I don't think I have enough yarn to do a cabled garment. Or if I do, maybe something with just some cabling on the sleeves, that would be quite nice. So that's a possibility. Might have to have a browse on my Revelry for something. So that was my first purchase, 4 skeins of these. It wasn't my only yarn purchase, but it was the one that I was definitely determined to get. Okay, other things that were on my to buy list were, I'd browsed through all the vendors before going to the festival, and one that caught my eye was a lady that does pottery. And last time I went to the yarn festival I also bought a mug. I have a bit of a mug buying addiction. It's very, very bad. I buy yarn, I buy scented waxed hearts for my oil burner, and I buy mugs. I have an irresistible urge to buy all 3. So whilst I was away, I also bought an autumn Halloween mug from TK Maxx because they had all the Halloween ones in. So I actually came home with 2 mugs this time. But I wanted to buy a mug from this lady whilst I was there, and I did. I bought this one which says Woolwich, and it has these little stars and yarn on it and crescent moon, and just the yarn and crescent moon on that side. And I love it. I got to her stall and she had I think there was 8 mugs, or a combination of 8 mugs and like beakers, ones without handles. And me and beakers, I'm too clumsy for that. And there was another yarn, this one wasn't on the shelf. There was another one that said yarn hoarder, and I picked that one up, and that was the one out of the ones that I really liked. And another lady, I'm not sure if it was her mum, but another lady who was with her said, oh, there's another one, but we couldn't fit it on the shelf. And she just plucked it out the bag, and it was this one. I was like, that's the one for me. Oh, the yarn hoarder was tempting, but this is the perfect one. So now that I've shown it to you, I can put this in circulation, and I will be drinking my tea out of this tomorrow. I do have a card with her details on, and she's based in Perthshire. There we go, it's Bogborn. There we go. And she does hand pottery and hand painted stuff. And she had some other stuff on. I can't remember what else was on her store, but all the stuff is on her website anyway. So that was determined to buy whilst I was there, purchase number 2, was a mug, because, you know, mug buying addiction. Thirdly, that I definitely wanted to get while I was there, last time I went to the festival, I did not buy something and I regretted not buying it, but I was travelling public transport on the train and I had a suitcase and I had limited packing space to put stuff, but I really wanted a felt backed sheep fleece. So let me just get this all fluffed up for you. So I bought a small, like a seat back pad or cat bed, because like if the cats get on it, because my littlest one Willow's already been on this and went crazy, so I have to keep it out the way for the moment. It is a curly Massam fleece with these, oh god, look at the curls on this thing. Oh, I love it. I fell in love with it. Oh, isn't it gorgeous? It is all curly and browns and I love it. This is a coloured Massam and it is from Shearing Crafts, and she does huge, great big sheepskins as well. I want to say sheepskins, but they're not skins. Hi Pam. They are felt backed, so these are sheared from the sheep, so the sheep are still alive. They're not from dead sheep's, although I guess if a sheep died afterwards it would technically be, but they're not cut from the skin. It is just sheared off, and then the back is felted fleece onto the back to hold it together the same way that skin would on a sheep's skin. So you can use it like a sheepskin, but no animals were killed for it. But I fell in love with them and I really wanted one and I regretted not getting one. So this was on my first walk round, got to grab it whilst it's there purchase. And some of these curls are so cute and tiny. And they're not going to show very well on camera, but they're just like, they're so like cute. I love it. Just want to just run my fingers through it. It's just like, yeah. So yes, I'm really very happy with it. It really shows up all the different tones when I hold it right back here. Now the sun's coming out. It's really lovely. And of course she had lots of different types. There's curly ones and straight furred ones and like brown ones and white ones, and I can highly recommend because they are gorgeous. She actually does workshops down in Aberdeenshire, I'm pretty sure it's Aberdeenshire, on how to do this as well. I'm very tempted to book a workshop at some point, because I have a number of North Ronaldsay fleeces that I bought a while back. Most of them are washed and earmarked for spinning for certain projects, but I do have one fleece I haven't touched. It's still in the grease, which means it hasn't had any of the lanolin washed out since it was sheared, and I think that would make a really nice like a full-size rug, because I haven't got any of the, they've got no specific purpose for it at the moment. I can't remember what colour it is. I think it's like a grey. I think it's a grey with a little bit of brown in it. But the North Ronaldsay makes gorgeous rugs, really, really soft, and they're quite a long fibre. Well, I say long, they're not long like a Blueface Leicester, but they're not like a short fibre. They fluff up quite a bit, so that would make a really nice fleece rug. So that might be on my to-do list for sometime in the next year. We shall see. So that was my gotta get it whilst it's there purchase. I will pop that up there, and hopefully Willow won't come in whilst I'm recording, but if she does, you'll know, you'll see her up there. So those are my oh no, there was one more thing I definitely want to buy, and it's not yarn, it's actually a cross stitch kit. This was bought from Midge Porter of Midge Porter Designs, and the shadow is casting on it. It is a pumpkin cross stitch kit, and it comes with everything in it. Hi Midge. It comes with all your stuff. It comes with a hoop and your fabric and your threads and your pattern and everything. And what's interesting about this, apart from the fact that it's a pumpkin and it's autumn, Let me just angle this camera a little wee bit. There, so we've got no shadow. It's made using traditional, what's called black work, which is from, I think, the 17th century, something like that. But it's like little wee designs that make up a bigger design. But in this kit, she's made it with autumn colours, and it's got things like little acorns and hedgehogs and pumpkins in autumn tones to make this very cute autumn cross stitch. So I will be doing this very soon, and yeah, this was on my, I got to get it if she's got any in stock, because this was the last one, so it was meant to be. So I'm really happy that I managed to get one of these as well. I do have a card from Midge Porter with all her shop details on there. I don't know if I have one for Shearing Crafts actually. Is there one on the... There isn't one on the fleece. There is just her tag. Just her tag on there. But I will put all the links for all the makers down below in the description box, like usual. Okay, so those were the definite gotta buys, and then it came to the I fell in love with. So a while back I mentioned, well, I've been meaning to make for a couple of years a full-on all over colourwork Shetland cardigan, like a Fair Isle cardigan. I have all my contrast colours that I picked up whilst in Shetland and from one of my local shops, yarn shops as well, and I was going to card and spin up some oatmeal, some pale oatmeal Shetland fibre, and spin it into yarn to use for background against the colourwork. Whilst I was at the festival, I picked up 2 little bats, 100-gram bats of already carded oatmeal Shetland fibre, which is going to save me the bother of actually I'll have to spin it, but actually carding some up. I may still card up what I do have, because I'm not sure how much fibre I will need. There is 200 grams here, and I think I have around about 200 grams worth of contrast colours, but colourwork, to make a full-size colourwork cardigan, I might need a little bit more, because I don't want it to be too fitted, because it is Shetland and it will all be Shetland. Shetland's a little more on the rustic side, so I don't really want it to be too clingy to my skin, so I might make it a little more oversized and just put more shaping in it so it doesn't feel too tent-like. So I may still card up and spin the, I have a little bit of white Shetland, a little bit of brown Shetland fibre, and just added up to this. And they don't, as long as I'm not using it in the same row, then you're not going to know, because with Fair Isle you've got the bands of the different colourwork, and it won't matter if some of the oatmeal in one band is different to an oatmeal in another anyway. So I bought 2 of those, and they were bought from, is it Highland Wool? Let me just check on my wee list. Yes, Highland Wool, and she had various like little bats of fibre, and I think some yarns as well. I think it was mostly spinning fibre though. There wasn't a huge amount of spinning fibre there. There were some stalls that do yarns and fibre, which was really nice. I think there was who was selling, I know Dina's Home of Crafts was selling some, and I noticed a couple of other dyers that were selling like dyed braids as well. There wasn't really much in the way of bats. There was a few, but there wasn't a lot. So it was nice to see some natural fibres there to spin as well. There was a couple of different stores that had natural fibres to spin, but admittedly, and when I went to her stall, there was a lot less customers around, because there was a lot more knitters at the festival than there was spinners. But it was, as a spinner, it's nice to actually be able to buy fibre as well as yarn there, which was great. I also bought more yarns, but they were kind of random skeins of yarns, which I didn't do much of last time I was there. I mostly went for sweater quantities. So I just kind of like let myself buy what kind of took my fancy as far as single skeins were concerned. Last year I think I did around 3 sweater quantities, and I don't know, maybe I think I did maybe 1 random skein of yarn. This time it was the opposite way around. It was just 1 sweater quantity. So first up I got a sock set. Now I know I've said before I don't really like knitting socks with merino yarn. My exception tends to be if I fall in love with a set at the festival and I just add extra reinforcement in on the ball of the foot to accommodate. So I bought this sock set, which is a 75% merino, 25% merino sock set, and it is a 50-gram main skein and 20-gram contrast mini skein in the colourway Autumn Rust, and the company is Wool Chemist. And I just fell in love with this kind of autumn apple tree feel colourway. So the mini skein is like this beautiful dark green, and then the colour, the main colour is not that green there. It's this kind of rusty reds with little green tones and what have you, and it just made me think apple trees, autumn orchard kind of a feel, and I just loved it. I kept coming back to this and I wasn't sure because, like it says, I don't often buy merino sock yarn. I much prefer to buy Blueface Leicester if I can get it, or if I'm not doing commercial sock yarn. But I just kept getting drawn to it, and it had to come home with me. So I got that. I also got a self-striping skein from Mrs. Lamb Yarns. She does project bags and hand-dyed like embroidery floss and hand-dyed yarns, but she also does self-striping, and there's not that many dyes that will do the self-striping. I know I wouldn't dye self-striping, like full-on self-striping, not just like micro striping, the ones where you have to have dye the yarn in a skein that's about 20 miles long to be able to get the different stripes in, and it just, to me, it seems like a lot of work. So hats off to anybody who actually makes the effort to do this. So I bought some of her yarn, and it is, the colourway is Summer Bouquet. It is a 75-25 merino nylon, and it is very, very pretty, very summery. I will be saving this for next year, for during the warmer months, the summery months, because it is nice and bright and sunny, and it came with a free little mini skein. I could choose whichever colour. I thought pistachio green, it's gonna look nice. It's summery and also more spring-like, I suppose. It's very pretty. So yeah, I bought Mrs. Lamb Yarns self-striping sock yarn, and this is a 100-gram skein. So I will get 2 sets of socks at this, one with this, and then whatever's left over I will find some other yarn to contrast with for that. And I bought just 2 other skeins of yarn, and then that's my haul. So I bought 2 skeins of yarn from one of my favourite dyers, which is Mothie and the Squid. Mothie and the Squid. I bought this skein of yarn, which is kind of like a, I love her like variegated speckly yarns. I just think they're gorgeous. This one's a bit more unusual. This one is in the colourway Tad People, and it is an 87% superwash, fine superwash merino and 13% Pima cotton, and the texture is gorgeous. It's really, really soft, and the cotton, I'm not sure how well this is going to show on camera and how well it's going to focus, but the cotton, you can just see, kind of see the white strands running through, the white fibre strands. It gives this beautiful kind of almost a marling effect, and maybe you can see better on the red there, a little marling effect. And because the cotton doesn't take up the dye the same way that wool does, you get this kind of like softened effect with the colours, and it's gorgeous. She had quite a few colourways of with this base, but this one was the one that really stood out to me. I'm thinking some sort of cowl, because it's so soft. It's going to make a really lovely cowl or shawlet or something like that with that colourway. And I also bought a skein of Aran weight yarn, again for making, this is going to make an autumn colourway, an autumn coloured cowl. This is in the colourway Horse Chestnut, and it is 100% merino, and it is Aran weight, and I just love the colours of this. It's so autumnal and pretty. I love it. So those were all my purchases. I kept it reasonable. If I'm going to make the effort of spending the money and the time to catch a ferry and all the public transport or driving all the way at the yarn festival, then obviously I'm going to spend money on yarns and what have you whilst I'm there and account for that. It's a full planned for expenditure, but I think I kept it reasonable. I guess if I lived local, you could justify just kind of popping in and buying 2 skeins of yarn, but not when you've got to travel as far as I do and catching ferries and what have you. So it was within my kind of like idea of how much I would want to spend while I was there, which I was really happy with, although admittedly I could have spent an awful lot more. It's so easy. There was so many yarns that I was very tempted with. There was some beautiful like yarn that was mixture of like Shetland and alpaca, and there was another one that was a nice mixture of Hebridean wool and cheviot, which was surprisingly softer than I thought it would be. That was lovely. There were some beautiful colours, and there was a few that I was tempted with. It was the Kinross 4-ply. I love the Kinross 4-ply Shetland. It's like a lamb's wool, and it's softer than a traditional Shetland, and they had a gorgeous kind of a caramel toffee colour, and I thought, usually they sell in 50-gram skeins, so you can do like colour work, but I was so tempted to just get a sweater quantity of it and just buy all the 50-gram skeins. There was a lot of temptations whilst I was there, and there was a nice tweedy yarn in like a coffee beige, and there was so many nice yarns, and I could have spent double easily if money was an object. Actually, more than that, if money was an object, I could have spent an awful lot. And I imagine a lot of people probably did actually, but I kept it reasonable, and I don't really need any yarn in reality. I do have quite a large yarn staff. I'm very fortunate that way. But I do tend to buy yarns that are with a purpose in mind, rather than just, oh, that's pretty, that's pretty, that's pretty. So I think, oh, that's a gorgeous yarn, sweater quantity because I can make a sweater with, or oh, that's a nice skein, shawl, that sort of thing. And my yarn stash reflects that. There is very little up there that isn't earmarked for specific projects, and if it is a yarn that's not for a specific project, it's because it's left over from when I used to dye yarns as a yarn dyer, and I just loved the colour and kept some back for myself, or because it's left over from another project. So I'm pretty good at keeping a stash that has a purpose, rather than just buying things that I find pretty whilst I'm out and about. So that is all, that is everything. I hope you enjoyed this little wee tour around what I managed to get whilst I was there. I know not everybody likes acquisition videos, but I thought some would like to see what I did get whilst I was there. And if I saw you there, then thank you for stopping by and saying hello, or if I skimmed your stall and said hello and then hello again. It was really fun to actually talk to people like in real life, which was really, I really enjoyed that. So I will be back with a regular podcast soon-ish. I will probably be putting out my autumn knitting plans video very soon. I don't knit much over the summer. I hardly knit a stitch over the summer, but now that it's definitely autumn where we are on the island, I will be getting back into knitting more on an evening from now onwards. So I will be having plans for knitting over the autumn. Just have to get a couple of those summer projects off the needles. So I will see you on the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall speak to you again soon. Bye bye.